So are we waiting for everybody to go?
Yeah, we'll wait just a few more minutes and allow folks to jump on before we get started.
Sounds good. Sarah, if somebody puts a question, I can see it on my end. It can pop up as long as I catch it.
All right, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. We've got a good group on. So my name is Sarah Fluke. I'm the manager of membership and business development with the AMA. Thanks for being on today. We have Terri Bridges with Rose Paving and then Bri Carter with the Phoenix Staffing. So we will just jump right in. We're hoping that today we'll be able to give you some great information to either hit the ground running if you're brand new to the AMA, or if you've been with us for some time, just help solidify some of those tools and techniques that you already know about, and then also just give you a little bit more information about the AMA. Things look a little different right now, not that we probably have to tell you guys that, but certainly we're hopeful that we can provide some nuggets that'll help you during COVID and then also after. So I just want to take a few minutes to just go over the AMA real briefly, since looking at the attendee list, most of you have been in membership for some time, but it's always good to have a refresher. The AMA was formed in 1966. We're old, but we've aged well. So we were originally formed to fight a statewide sales tax initiative on rent. And so our primary focus as an association was and has continued to stay advocacy. So we advocate on the industry's behalf at the Capitol, at the state level, and then local, and then also municipal. So we are fighting the good fight to ensure that our industry stays strong and healthy. And certainly our primary focus is advocating on behalf of owners and management companies. And while as an associate member or a vendor member, you may think that that doesn't really help you or apply to you, but rest assured, ensuring that we have a healthy industry trickles down. and it will help you in your business. Because if we were to see more regulations or stronger rules on the side of management and owners, that would impact business for you. So it is still important to everyone, and know that we are in constant contact with our lawmakers and legislatures all the time, fighting on your behalf. So our second focus really is education. And Bri, to toot her horn, she is co-chair of our education committee. And we put on over 50 classes a year in Phoenix, Flagstaff, and Tucson for all of our members, regular and associate. And we focus on maintenance classes, leasing classes, leadership classes. We have CPR. We talk about diffusing conflict situations. So there's a lot of great classes that we offer. And we do provide CEU credit for those folks who need continuing education for either real estate or for their credentials for the National Apartment Association, like their CAM certification, CAPS, or CAMT. And then our third component is networking. So connecting regular members to associate members, also connecting regular members to regular members, and then associate members to associate members. So it's really a three-tiered approach. You would think it would just be primarily regular members to associates, but Terry's going to jump into that in a little bit about how it's really beneficial for you to network with everybody and not just necessarily your customer base, so to speak. So I want to just show you here, I can bring this up on my screen. If you are not following us on Facebook currently, I would encourage you to do that. We are very active, but not annoying. We post about once a day, and we do share valuable information. So in addition to telling you about our events and education that are coming up, we also share with you information specifically right now related to COVID. When the governor comes out with a new executive order, we'll share that information. But we update you on our membership. And I think it's important for you to know that you're part of an amazing, no pun intended there, an amazing association. And we're the 4th largest trade association in Arizona. We're the 5th largest affiliate of the National Apartment Association. So humbly speaking, we're a big deal. And you should be proud to be part of our association, because we really are the only united voice in Arizona that represents the multifamily industry. So just a few quick numbers here for you. We represent about 55% of the all rental housing in the state, which is amazing. And we have 291,000 rental units in membership currently. We've got 220 management companies for a total of just over 2,300 members. Of the 2,300, only 503 are associate or vendor members. So that's a great statistic for you to take with you, is you really are the minority in this association, which is fantastic because there's enough work for everybody. Of the 2,300, 1,500, almost 1,600 are apartment communities. So again, enough to go around. We've really got a great diverse membership pool, which I think is what makes our association particularly unique. With that, I am going to end my part of it, and I'm going to hand it over to Terry. I'm going to hang on. I'll stay on for questions, but otherwise, Terry, go ahead and take it away.
All right. Terri Bridges from Rose Paving. The AMA asked me to talk to everybody today because when I came to this industry over 8 years ago, I came to work for a security guard company, and I had no experience in security. I had no experience in the multifamily industry. I worked for Pioneer Electronics, and then when the economy crashed, I got laid off. I did my own thing for a little bit and trying to figure out what to do, and I ended up getting a job with Valley-Wide Security. And when I came in, I didn't know anything. I was a greenhorn, probably much like some of you that are on today, and figuring out, when I first came in, I was a little overwhelmed. There's a lot of people, there's a lot going on, and there was a lot to figure out. So that first year I spent kind of figuring out how I'm going to make the best for what we have for what I have and the availability that I have and what I can do and what I'm good at. And I'm good with people. So I wanted to do good with people. So when I first came to AMA, I came in and the first year I did that, and then I joined the committee. And really, once I joined the committee, that's when I really started seeing a lot going on. Not only, I mean, you got two ends. You got working the AMA, working events and stuff, but then on the back end, I was doing whatever I can to try to get in front of people. Nobody knew me. People knew Valley, but nobody knew me. I wanted to be the guy for Valley. So I was visiting a lot of people. You know, with security there, I was going to each community. I was visiting 8 to 10 properties a day. So on the back end, I was trying to get in front of people, and then working the committee, I got to friend a lot of people and the vendors. And once I got in with a couple vendors and started working the vendors that were on my committee, that's when I really started to getting those good leads, those good warm leads. So the first, you're probably figuring out, you know, let's say you're new to the AMA, you're gonna have to figure this out. The first 6 months, you're kind of gonna figure, okay, what committee do I want to join? What's best for what I'm doing? And the great thing about the AMA is there's a lot of people. Even if you're new, there's a lot of people that can mentor you. So when I came to Valley's been a member for a while, but I wasn't, and I didn't get a mentor, and I kind of had to figure this out on my own. A lot of stuff back then I wish I would have known now. Probably would have got a lot bigger learning curve. Instead of a year, 2 years, it probably would have been 6 months to a year. But that's why I'm trying to share my experience to you and what I did. So I teamed up with some vendors. So if you go to an event, your vendors are going to be probably your best asset right now, because it's almost like each vendor, oh, you're a vendor, I'm a vendor, okay, I can talk to you. And then, you know, it's like, okay, who do you want to do business with? What vendor can help you? And what committee is going to help you get that? So once you're on a committee, start building your relationships, start trying to do stuff. I mean, for instance, right now, you're like, well, what can I do right now? I mean, I can't even go visit anybody. The AMA has everything Zoom. We're doing these Zoom meetings and everything. So what? I'm the same boat as you guys are. I'm sitting here wondering, well, what the heck am I going to do? So I decided, okay, I got my vendors. Okay, I know this vendor. Let me call them up and say, hey, I'm trying to organize a scavenger hunt. You guys went in, we'll donate some gift cards, send emails out to your clients, and let's get them on. And I had a happy hour one, and then I had a lunch one for the people working in the office. And it was a lot of fun. It was something thinking outside the box, something that we can do. And granted, I've done 4 of them now, and I've learned, okay, you know, what times work better, what people work better. I've reached out to different vendors because I, you know, trying to help anybody to get in front of people in this time that we're doing. So when I first started and nobody really knew me, there's things that I did different, I think, which kind of made me stick out some. And one was, whenever I sent an email, I try to have a trademark. I'd make a meme. There's meme generators. You can make your own meme. I would send an email. Every email I sent, I would send a meme, and I would make an own meme. And you can even take a picture of the property or something on the property, the name, make a funny meme, or maybe something you saw on site or something like that. I use a lot when you go to those meme generators, they have their own pictures and you could type in and do your stuff. So I was just trying to be different, trying to get people to recognize me. And eventually, you know, when I first started, I was hitting 8 to 10 properties a day. Well, after that first year, once I really started working the AMA and getting smarter about it, after that next year, I didn't have to go visit anymore. Now my phone is ringing. Now I was organizing events. Some of the stuff that you can do within the AMA, you want to look at your budget. You want to see, okay, you know, be realistic about stuff. You say, okay, you know, we got $5,000 to spend. How are we gonna get the most out of our money to get the best return? That's what we're all looking at. So when you join the committee, you join it. Like, for instance, when I was with Valley, I joined the Project Safe committee. That was my first committee. I've been on that committee for many years. But now I'm with Rose Paving. I'm working more with maintenance guys. So I'm like, oh man, you know, I love the Project Safe committee, but I may have to look at, because I'm on 3 committees and it's a lot of work. Committees are a lot of work. Plus trying to do what on top of what you already have. You got your job, your full-time job, you probably got kids, you probably got a spouse at home, whatever you got to do. And you kind of got to do these committees. And Project Safe, it was a great, and it got me in front of a lot of people, and I went and did events and stuff. But again, now my time's coming down. So I'm looking at, I work a lot with maintenance guys now, not so much as the staff, but so maybe I want to look into joining Maintenance Mania. I don't know. So when you set your budget, it's my 3 favorite events are the reverse trade show. If you don't go to the reverse trade show, that is the best, because you're going to be in front of people quick. So you got to make that time worth it. You know, when I go to the trade show, I'm prepping. I got my game plan. I got my little Rose folders. See, I got them all laid out. I got my targets. I'm getting everything. Be prepared. Be ready to go. One of my favorite ones, though, is the Bullathon. The Bullathon, boy, I like to dress up. So you go to the Bullathon. The Bullathon, I find I get a lot more out of my return doing like the Bullathon. There's nothing. We're not there to sell. We're there for a purpose to try to raise money, to have fun. We take our clients, you know, and you meet other clients. You bowl in, you're drinking, you're getting them out of their workplace, out of their work environment. When everybody goes to that event, they're going there to let loose and have fun. And of course, the trade show. There's going to be so many people at the trade show when you go do the trade show. Those are my 3 favorite. Like, a lot of people like the golf event. The problem is I really suck at golf. Really bad. So I can't golf. So I don't golf. I get if I do the golf though, I get a hole. But again, that's so, and everybody you may be a really good golfer and you're like, dude, this is my event. I'm going to take out somebody. I'm going to showboat and show them how good I am at this. Me, that's not me. Now, if we're going racing or we're going fishing, I'm going to tear it up. But that's not my thing. So when you're looking at the AMA, look at all the events that you have. I love the dinner meetings too. The dinner meetings are cheap. I mean, you see Rose, you don't see Rose all over everywhere. We're not major sponsoring stuff. We have a budget. Rose is a big company, but we still have a budget that we have to maintain. So I sit down with my boss and I'm like, okay, this is what the money we're going to try to get. I push it in. They're like, cut some of that off. Shoot. I can't have everything. I can't be platinum sponsor, but okay, so what do I got? So then I'm going to start looking at, okay, I know I'm going both on. I know I'm going to reverse trade show. I know I'm going to trade show. Now what else is after that? I like the dinner meetings. The dinner meetings getting in front. There's a lot of people there, getting in front of them. I like to sponsor the dinner meetings. I feel it's a good investment to get in there. And if you're going to sponsor an event, go to the event. There's a lot of times I see people getting sponsors, at the dinner meeting and they weren't here to make it. Yeah, you see their name, but let's say their name's up there and I just talked to a rep from their competitor and now it's like, oh, hey, how you doing? I got to know them. I'm more than likely I'm going to do business with that person I met who isn't a sponsor than somebody that is just sponsoring. And if you got the money to spend it, go ahead and do it. But if not, think wisely about what you're doing and how to make the use of it. And I think I do a pretty good job of that. And there's a lot of people in the MA that do that. You see people, you see the same faces. You may not see their company all flashed up on the billboard and everything like that. I mean, I went to Rose Paving. I've been with Rose Paving almost 2 years now. And last year I was up for event of the year. It's, people that say, oh, politics, you got to spend money. No, you don't. We weren't even a sponsor or anything. You just gotta be present and work. If you go join the committee, don't be this guy. Be this guy. Hey, be involved. There's no point in sitting there. Nobody's gonna recognize the guy in the corner that doesn't talk. People are gonna remember the guy that answered questions. The guy had a good idea. Like, that was a good idea. I think we should do that. So when you join committees, work them, have fun with them.
Hey, Terry, we have a question.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit more about how you ran virtual scavenger hunts?
Whew. So it was pretty tough. So I had actually, let me get my file. I have a file. Let me get my file. Hold up. So what I did was I got 3 or 4 vendors and I said, okay, you're gonna team up. I don't know where my file's at. So we had rounds. Let's say I have 5 vendors. Each vendor picks an item and we have 3 rounds. So, first round, if I'm doing a scavenger hunt for people in the office. So first of all, what I did was I got my vendors that committed to it. And then the nice thing about Rose is we have a marketing department in Chicago, our corporate office. I sent the info to them. They sent out a mass email to all of our clients and potential clients, inviting them to the scavenger hunt, which is pretty cool. But I found the successful part to be a successful hunt is it can't just be me pushing all that. You got to get your vendors that are going to help promote this to make it good. So then I picked an item. Let's say we're working in the office. I do it on Zoom because you can have, I have 2 screens set up to 50 people or 100 people. And I might say, go find a calculator. The first item is a calculator and they got to run, get a calculator and show it up to the monitor like this, which it gets crazy because the people in the offices, they're running, you see them running. So I tell them, I figured out that the best thing to do is put a white piece of paper behind it with their name. So say Terri Bridges, and that way you can see it. Because if you're like this, oh, I gotta, depending on their backgrounds and stuff, each person did an item, each vendor. So then the next vendor introduced themselves, said an item. The next vendor, boom, 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 and then I tallied up the score of, first, second, third. That's all you can do because you try to do more than 3 people, it gets to be too much, and then you can't figure out. So I had that. I had them do 3 items, or each vendor do an item, 3 rounds. I tallied up the points, and then that's how I got first, second, and third place, and they got money. So the last scavenger hunt I did, the winner got $250, 150 for second, or 175 for second, 100 for third, and 100. I did a bonus round. Bonus round is just 1 round, totally up to points of everybody, and we did the bonus round. I did them later in the evening and I did them in the afternoon, and the afternoon ones work later. I didn't know if it was people working from home. So I did one for the people that are working from home. So then I wouldn't say a calculator. I said like a pizza cutter or laundry detergent, or, as the rounds go up, you want harder items or maybe specific items like, like a blue or pink highlighter, or, a orange thumbtack or something like that we had. And the ones in the evenings that were after 3, I didn't get as many as I did when I had them between 12 and 2 o'clock.
One other question, can you talk to us about how you have used your relationships with other associate or other vendor members and how that's benefited you?
Well, because when I first started, I didn't really know anybody, any regionals. My level was pretty much management, like the managers, because I would go do site visits. So once I started working the vendors, then I got the warm lead, say, hey, this vendor, I noticed they do a lot of business with PV Bell. They say, hey, who do I need to talk to over there? Hey, let's take them to lunch. So I would take that vendor and that regional to lunch as a warm introduction and stuff like that. And then I started teaming up with those vendors doing stuff outside, like happy hours. I do a tubing trip every year for them. Pretty much anything you could think of outside. I've even done brunch where I've taken some managers for brunch on Sunday, something different. I just try to do stuff a little different. And when I take people out, I try not to take them to normal places. I try to, because I'm kind of a different guy. So when I take somebody out, I'm going to try to find a place that's maybe a little different, something they've never been to or tried before, because then they're going to remember that. And I see Donna on here. Hers is she doesn't have a mentor and she's trying to figure it out. But we're all here for you. Anybody that's on the membership committee or anybody that's a good vendor, even though when you come on, it's really timid and it seems like they're tight-knit groups, but it doesn't necessarily, well, for instance, I have a great relationship with Cameron at GPM. Like I went to his daughter's graduation deal. So you would think I would always reach out to him for stuff. Well, for this scavenger hunt, I also reach out to Daniel at Top Quality Care. You know, I don't try to, even though people think, oh, well, Terry's only going to promote GPM. Well, no, I spread it out. Because most people are going to want 3 bids anyway, so I'm going to want 3 friends in each category. What else we got? We got any other questions?
No, I think that was it. So if you, I'm going to drop in the chat feature, I'll drop the link for you guys to access the committee interest forms. If you're interested in joining a committee, you can access it directly there. And then otherwise, we shall hand it over to Miss Bry.
Hey everybody, how are you guys? So it's interesting, I'm gonna share my screen really quick and get you guys uploaded for my sales techniques. Hold on just a moment. All right, let's see, can you guys see that? Yeah, let me just get that going on the review slideshow. All right, so it's interesting when somebody asks you to handle one of these and you know you're going to have your peers on the call, I think it almost becomes harder because you think, okay, there's people on this call that have been on this call for 20 years and there's people on this call that maybe just started. So I just wanted to start first off and ask who on this call is like within a year, just started in the industry within a year, and just go ahead and answer in the chat box. And don't be shy because you're salespeople, so I know better. And I can't see that, Sarah, just so you know. All right, so we got,
yeah, a couple just started, a couple newbies.
all right. How many of you have been in this industry for 5 years plus? Less than a year, got it. Mickey, thank you. Justin, I just thought aye. Nobody else? 10 years, new to Arizona. All right, Brett, thank you. Alexis, can you do that later for me, please? And let's see, we are in a new industry, I think, right now. I think you have to think outside the box right now. And I think part of that is, what is the sales techniques for the apartment industry? And I'm speaking to people who probably already know this, but I started in 1994. I was a leasing agent. I went to an assistant manager. I went to a manager position. I was picked up on sales in 2008. That was a tough year to come into sales, by the way. I then went into, you know, national sales, moved out of Arizona, and then came back and really didn't know anyone again. And I remember to this day, and Sarah's not going to remember this because she wasn't there, I don't think, that day, but I was at a board of directors meeting giving a commercial, and you guys, I was so nervous that I was shaking. You know how you get when you're just that nervous and you're shaking? And all I could think to myself was, how am I going to do this? I don't know anyone anymore. I'm new to this. I'm building a team from the ground up. How am I supposed to be successful at something when I'm this nervous? So all I could think in my mind was, it's okay. I'm just going to put myself out there and hope people like me, right? So I really just kind of went through that day, and I will not forget this. I did these little plants that I gave away at the board of directors meeting, and somebody said to me, what am I going to do with this? I'm going into the trade show. I'll never forget that. And I thought to myself, I don't know what you're going to do with it. But, you know, I just kind of took a moment, took a deep breath, and realized these are my friends. These are people who are in an industry that's amazing. And I love this industry. So I took a deep breath and just went, okay, I can get out there and meet with people, but there's a couple things I need to do. And I had to do this again with COVID. And I'm not talking down to anyone. I think you all understand these things, but I need you to understand. I think what happened with COVID is we all went, people don't want to hear from us, or we kind of assumed a lot of things, I think, at the beginning of this, instead of thinking, hold on, I need to go back to basics. People aren't going to come to me for industry, expertise right now. People aren't going to come to me and ask me to do something for them. It's my job right now to create a plan, research the companies I want to go after, and make sure when I send out communication, there's a value attached to that. And I must have sent out 300 emails in that first week that COVID hit. And my hope was that people would just know I was there. It wasn't a sales pitch. It was I hope you're doing okay. If you need anything, I'm here. Here's a little bit about me, and we would love to have your business whenever you're ready. Now, 2 weeks into that, I kind of went, maybe I failed at that because nobody was really calling, right? And we were all, I think, a little stressed out about what was going to happen. So I'm going to go to this next page because I want you to understand the one thing I realized was I have to treat this like everyone is so busy that I need to have a really great value statement right now. And what is that value? And how does that equate to the person that you're speaking with? And I have to tell you, the research that I did and going into LinkedIn and reaching out to recruiters for me, right, was a big one. Making sure that I went out there and spoke to people that were in need and the right person in the right place on LinkedIn and those places, and understanding their business. I think we sometimes think, geez, I've been doing this for 20 years, so everyone should know me. And that's not true. Every time I get online, I realize how many people I don't know, and that don't know me and don't know the value I bring and don't know my return on investment because I've never had a conversation with them. And if you're new to this industry, I have to tell you, you can't just go out knocking on doors. You better have a plan. No one would just go out and be reactionary in their life. I would love to have every salesperson that's ever worked with me, whoever worked around me, know that proactive is much more important than reactionary selling. So I'm not going to go through each of these, but these are things that you're going to want to know, and I'll gladly share these slides when we're done. But research is just so important. Having a plan, knowing where you're going to go, why you're hitting it, and you can't go out and see sites right now. So I think that's a big piece of this puzzle, is understanding who you're going to try to hit on LinkedIn, who you're going to have scavenger hunts with, who is it that you're trying to get in front of right now. So there's a lot of different ways to do that, but getting to the right place means a lot of different things. And Terri really hit on this really well. You have to use the people around you. Who do you know? I go on LinkedIn, and I had a gentleman actually just reach out to me. I'll use that as an example. He works for RealPage. He reached out to me and he said, hey, I don't know you, but would you help me make an introduction to this person? And at first I went, I don't know you, so I'm not really comfortable with that. And I said, well, why don't we jump on a phone call and kind of talk about what you do and who you are, and a little bit of pitching me, because I wanted to know who I was going to make a soft introduction for. So I spent a lot of time getting to know this gentleman, and I did make a soft introduction for him. I don't mind doing that at all, no more than I would hope if I reached out to somebody and asked them to do the same for me, they would. And by the way, I've done that on LinkedIn several times, where I see someone who has an connection that maybe I don't have. I'll ask them to make that soft introduction. There's databases out there with all this information in it that has managers and has regionals, and there's a lot of them, by the way. So choosing those is very important. Again, having a plan. Going back to basics, folks, if you're on this call and you've been doing this for 20 years, don't just think people are going to come to you right now. I think it's really important that we get out there and we talk to people and really have a conversation with them about what our value is again, almost like we're brand new. No, you cannot go visit the sites right now, but I do think calling people, sending cards, pizza parties, whatever the case may be, is a really important facet of our business. Use LinkedIn, use LinkedIn, use LinkedIn. I use it every day. I use it 1,000 times a day. Find a mentor, ask a friend. Terri said that, and it's brilliant, because the truth of the matter is we can't do this alone. And there's people that have been doing this for 20 years that can share kind of who they know and maybe the best ways to get into a manager's meeting, things of that nature. Obviously, finding the decision maker is important, but folks, right now with COVID, they're inundated with phone calls, emails. You have to be really careful to not overwhelm them, especially if you don't have the right pitch. So you better know your value that you're trying to go after. Oh, so I'm going to ask Terri to come off of mute for a second so he can kind of give a little bit of a feel on this. But here's my thing. If you're going to be on a committee and you're not involved, he made the right face. Will you do that thing again? Will you step back? So that is sometimes what I see from vendors that come on to committees. And I think to myself, why are you here? You here as a warm body. Good job, Terri. And then, but more importantly, I think that there's this issue of, if you're not involved beyond that, what do you have to provide for training? Have you even stated what you have to provide? So the AMA actually has a link where you can go in and put in, hey, these are things I can train on, not pitch on, but train on. And Sarah, do you want to tell them a little bit about that?
There we go. Yeah, we actually just announced it on Tuesday, so it's hot off the press. And I will tell you one thing: if you are not getting our emails, actually, let me scratch that. All of you are getting our emails because you have a login, because you registered for this class. So our emails go out weekly on Tuesdays. If you're not seeing them, you need to check your spam or your junk. But we do put a lot of great information in there. We recently released the results of our regular member survey, which, Jeff, you asked a great question. Regular members are our property folks. So management companies, on-site folks, independent rental owners, corporate level management company, et cetera. The associate members are our vendor members. We don't like to call you vendor members, we call you associates. So that's the difference between the two. But we released results from our regular member survey where we asked very specific questions as to how our associate members can help them during this time. It was very, we got great results, 57 people. So if you didn't see that email come out, then shoot me an email and I'm happy to forward it directly to you. I will drop the link in the chat box for where you can fill out our Google form if you have a class that you would like to teach or a topic that you think would be relevant. Since we are all associates on this call, I will preface with, it can't be a sales pitch. It needs to be, you're the subject matter expert. So we were giving Terri a hard time yesterday. He knows all things asphalt. And apparently there's a lot to know about asphalt. Who knew? But Terri would teach a class on asphalt, not on rose paving. So just to be clear, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for toolkit information that you can take back to their property immediately and start to use. So I'll drop that link in the chat. And then if you have any questions, let me know.
You know, touching on that, Sarah, I forgot to mention when I was on the committees, like Project Safe, when I'm visiting clients or visiting people that are having an event and working them as a mentor, I'm not pushing Rose Paving. I'm not pushing Valley. They know who I am. I'm not there to try to sell my service. I'm there to try to be a service for them in their event and stuff like that. And I think people appreciate that. And it's, you know, otherwise you're going to come across as being a little tacky, I think.
I totally agree with that. And I have to say, even on LinkedIn or Facebook, look, you're in a relationship-driven industry. So I hear this a lot, like, I don't want to post things on Facebook, you know, for my work. And I'm like, wait a second, this is what we do for a living, right? So being aware of the fact that people are always looking at you and you're forward facing to the client base, you know, just be aware of that. I think on LinkedIn, you know, and I say this because I did national sales. So I have 7,000 plus network people on there, right? So if I look at that and I go, if I can't find somebody who knows somebody else on there, one, there's a problem. But number two, why would I always post 900 days, you know, times a day about what I'm selling? People, if they're on there, can see what I sell. what I post on there typically is more relevant to what's happening in the industry. And that is a great way to get your name out there. LinkedIn, LinkedIn, LinkedIn. Use it, abuse it, connect with every single person on this call when you get off if you're new. And if you are not new and you haven't been on there for a while, make sure that your information on there is relevant, because I keep looking at people's information. We haven't updated since like 1994 when I started. So just a thought. And I'm old, so don't make me feel any older when I get on there. So I'm not going to go through this, but I think what I really wanted to share today was I've had to go back to basics. With COVID going on, I've had to go back to how would I build up a sales kind of pipeline without being pushy, rude, or, you know, not taking into account what's going on. I'm going to skip past this. You can read this whenever I send it out, but I have to tell you, if you're not following up right now and you're not being consistent, you're losing. If somebody texts you at 7 o'clock at night on a Saturday because they need help, you better respond. This is an industry of need. So people are working harder, longer. They're stressed out. I mean, how many of you on this call are stressed out? You don't have to answer that on there if you don't want to, but I mean, we're all feeling it. So follow-up is going to probably be the most important piece of what I'm going to push out today. I am really, really disenchanted sometimes with the fact that we think that people should come to us, and that's not the industry we work in. I want people to know, if you call me, I'm going to do everything I can to help you, and if I can, I'm going to tell you that too. Be consistent, like I said, but I think more so, pick up the phone. You know, one of the things, don't kill people by email, pick up the phone. You know, find people on LinkedIn, go outside the box. Terry said that a couple times, like, you know, picking out your vendors and having those kind of things online where you're having scavenger hunts or giving away a purse or whatever I see, those are the things that are going to make me remember you at the end of this. Customer service right now, I think, think about our site levels for just a minute. They're going through something we've never had to deal with. They're trying to open pools. People are angry. We have to be more customer service driven than we've ever been. We just have to be. So I think for me, going back to the beginning of this, thinking through how my team was going to follow up with people, it wasn't a, hey, are you going to buy my services? It was, hey, I hope everything's going okay. If you need anything, you call me. Just so you know, if you need me to come by the site and drop off food to your team because they had to work 14 hours today, you call me. Like, it has to be more about them than about us right now. So that's kind of what I wanted to say there. One of the things that AMA asked was, how would you start, like, when do you start your service? Well, the day I literally talk to somebody and they say, I'm interested. That's when I start my customer service. I'm following up. I'm putting in my calendar when to follow up. I'm making sure it got completed. I'm going above and beyond, which you should always do. But I think right now I'm even taking little extra steps just to make sure I'm sending out notes, thanking them for their business. Just little things. And yeah, I'm old school, but you know, making memes, you know, like those are things that stand out to people. And I will tell you, if you're new in this industry, the biggest thing is just talking. I obviously don't have a problem with that, but I think you have to get out there and talk to people. Terry doesn't have a problem with that either. Terry's fine. He can go out and talk to anybody, but you have to be able to do that. And I think getting over that fear is as simple as understanding that if you have a value proposition to give to somebody, they'll want to hear it as long as you've done your research and you understand who you're pitching to. So that's pretty much what I had. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask.
So I have a follow-up question, and this can go for either.
I'm just kidding.
Oh.
I'm just kidding.
Except for Sarah. So this is for either Bri or Terry. I think we talked a little bit about this yesterday on our prep call, but I think when folks come into multifamily from other industries, commercial, HOA, residential, what have you, you know, we are different. We do operate differently than most industries. And so I think one of the things I've heard from our new associate members is, when do I have to pitch to the board of these companies to get decisions made? So can you maybe share your experience as to who you should, again, talking to somebody brand new to this industry, who should they be talking to? Is it the community manager, the regional manager, the maintenance supervisor? When's the best time to talk to them, i.e. not rent week? What types of things can you get to them that would be helpful? Can you guys address that?
Sure. Terry, do you want to take that first?
I could go first. I think it is going to be relevant to the product and the service you provide. When I was with Valley, when I was selling security, that decision is made mostly at the site level. That's why I did a lot of site visits. Now that I'm doing asphalt's more of a capital project. So a lot of times I don't even deal with the managers. I deal with somebody at the corporate office, somebody, at a director level of construction or something like that. So I think it's just going to depend on, you got to know, in each management company is different, so you got to know the structure of each one, get to know your client and know their business, and then you'll know who to talk to.
So I would say there's dual to that answer. If it's a fee managed property, if it's an owner managed property, you're going to go about that differently. If it's a student property, you're going to go about that differently. If it's a subsidized property, you're going to go about that differently. But I agree with Terry. I think it does depend on what you're selling, but keep this in mind for just a moment. The way we've always been the most successful is hitting it from the ground up and from the bottom down. There are decision makers on both aspects. And if you don't understand the property, you're surely not going to be able to sell a regional. So I firmly believe that you have to have visited a site and understand what that property entails, what are its challenges, so to speak, and obviously understand, is it a fee managed, meaning is that a property that is being managed third party like a Shelton Residential, or is it owner managed like an Avanti Residential? And that goes into research. And I think that matters today just as much as it mattered, when I started, 12 years ago. I think you have to truly understand the person you're selling to and what that value proposition looks like. We never went out to talk to a regional until I knew every site was visited. Now in COVID time, you can still do it. Go online, take a look at the property, find out what their needs are, do a little research on them. ALN, CoStar, there's 1,000 databases out there that'll give you that information. And if I didn't mention somebody who's on the phone, I apologize. So I think that there's got to be a time and place that you understand who you're speaking with, more so importantly and why you're speaking to them. What's your value? I hope that answers. Oh, and do not go out on the first of the month, please. And do not go after 5 o'clock. Those are two things I could probably say to you as a manager. Please don't come see me on the first, I'll probably kill you. And that's putting it nicely. And don't come after 5 o'clock, because that's usually when people come to get their packages and my phone's ringing off the hook and I am already in mode of shutting down.
Yeah, I'd have to say some of my success when I started at the site level was I would bring in coffees a lot. A lot of coffee, and I respected their time, and I treated everybody the same. I mean, there's somebody I met that was a leasing agent and now he's a regional manager. So
That's
you
right.
treat everybody the same, and you're in this business long enough, don't burn any bridges, and you prosper. You do very good.
That's a big one. Not burning any bridges, Terry, you can keep that off because I'm going to push on you for this one. I mean this, there is a point where somebody is going to move somewhere else and you're going to see them, whether it's on the vendor side, or people stay in this industry, and they stay in this industry for as long as I have. Like, I think you don't leave. You're sucked in here. But the cool thing about that is these are my friends. These are people I've known for years, and they're always going to be my friends. So that's the neat thing about being in this industry. Mm-hmm. Anybody else?
In this industry.
It's a good one. I have a question really quick, Sarah, for the people on the call. Does anybody have sales techniques they'd like to share? Like anything that's like just that one thing that you've done above and beyond that you think a customer has just loved? There's a lot of new people on this call. I'd love to have them share that.
If you have something you want to share, just drop your name in the chat and I can unmute you so everybody can hear. And just to piggyback off what Brian said specifically about not going on the first of the month, I can tell you I've fielded some questions and concerns from some of our newer associates who say, oh my gosh, I sent out 500 emails on the 30th of the month and nobody replied to me, and I'm so upset. It goes the same for emails. So emails, phone calls, visiting, they're collecting rent on the 1st, and that's their priority because they're trying to keep their owner happy and they're trying to pay the bills. So you need to be cognizant of that. They're not ignoring you. It's not their focus at that time. So, keep that in mind. While we're waiting for a brave soul to raise their hand, there was one other thing I wanted to mention from the AMA side. For those of you who've been in membership for quite some time or even before January, you noticed that we rolled out a brand new website in the beginning of January. And it's beautiful. That we're very proud of it. But I wanted to drive home the importance of making sure that your profile information is up to date. And let me tell you why. When someone searches for your company on the website, so let's say they search Bri Carter. They're like, I know that girl, I remember her, I want to find her. And they search for her name. If her profile information isn't up to date, they're not going to be able to get a hold of her because it's whatever's on the website. So in addition to the company profile, our new website also has individual profiles for each of you because you have your own login now. So if you have not taken a look, I actually got an email from an associate member during this webinar who said, we have no idea where this address came from. Can you fix it? And I said, no, you can log in and fix it yourself. So you guys have access to do that. Bri, are you okay if I kick you off a screen share?
Yeah, go for it.
So,
Here, I'll
you have to stop. You have to stop sharing. Yep. Sorry.
I can stop.
There we go. So I'm going to show you. So when you log into our website, you'll see it says welcome to your member compass here. So over here on this left-hand side under your dashboard is where you'll be able to look at your account information. I do want to tell you it does depend on your level if you have management access or accounting access. So you might not have some of these depending upon what your access is for your company. But here is where you're going to update your personal profile information. So if you click here, you can come in here and add your job title. You can add your credentials if you have your CAM or you have your bachelor's in something. If you, like Bri was mentioning LinkedIn, you can add your own LinkedIn URL here. You can add a headshot. If you want to add a bio, it's under member profile. So there's a lot of great information that you can add in here. But most importantly, you want to make sure that your address and your phone number and your email address are accurate, because that's how your member or your clients rather are going to find you and going to access that information. Now, if you have management access or are the primary contact on the company, you will also have the ability to update your company information. So let's say you rebrand and you have a new website or you just started a Facebook or something like that, you can add your information in here. Now, some of that, we do have enhanced member profile options. So some of that is an upgrade if you wanted to show your logo or have your Facebook embedded in your vendor directory listing. That's an extra charge. I'm happy to talk with you about that offline. But you should make sure the basic information is accurate. Email, phone number, website, name of the company, address, that type of thing.
Awesome. It does look really sharp too.
Thanks.
And just pitch really quick, you should check out the education page. It's amazing. Just want to pitch that.
There we go. Ask and you shall receive.
Yay. It looks really good. Everybody should be on the education committee if you're on here. Terri, you just be quiet. Everybody on the education committee. Just letting you know.
So it looks like no other questions, but
Okay.
Certainly you have my contact information. I'm happy to answer any questions. As Bryce said, look her up on LinkedIn. She'll answer any questions. Make Terri buy you coffee. He said he does that for everybody. So, we're here for you, and we want to help you be successful in this. And we understand that it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. So, please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions that you have.
And we love you guys. We love our vendors.
Yeah, we do.
All right, everybody. We'll see you sometime.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, everyone.